Hello, this is Mr. Taylor with Young Engineers Today. This is lesson 3 of Code Combat for 5th and 6th grade. First off, I just want to say if you are not up to this point yet, don't worry about it. Keep working hard. Second, you can find all the PDFs for these lessons for using Code Combat on your Edmodo account for Young Engineers Today page. And you can use those for lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. All right, lesson 2, we started the second world, the forest. Now this is a continuation of the second world. All right, first off, an update. ThornBush Farms correct code. Basically with ThornBush Farms, it's very important that you go up, lay your fire trap, go to the next, back, and it loops this behavior with if statements. Now, what was happening on ThornBush Farms is the third fire trap, it's being kind of picky about the exact XY code that you need to be using. So we updated this and figured out that it actually, you want to put 4320 for your X and Y location on your build statement in line 19 here. Okay. Now, on level 9 of the forest is the Ogre Encampment. Basically, what you're going to be doing here is using an if-else type statement. If the nearest enemy you want to attack them. If not, you need to be attacking the chest. We've attacked the chest in the first world and attacked doors as well. It's a level 8 back-to-back where you either attack or move. In this level, however, you attack the chest if enemy is not present. So what you're going to be doing is using a variable within a loop in an if-else statement. Basically, what you're doing is the variable is your enemy, and it's to find the nearest enemy. If this enemy is near you, you're going to attack it. Else, attack this chest. Now, it's important to use the proper syntax here with your brackets and making sure they're aligned correctly. In level 10, the Woodland Cleaver, we're going to learn to cleave. Basically, what cleaving is, you can only do it every once in a while, every few seconds. But when enemies are near, it sends out almost like a massive attack shockwave, and it destroys all your enemies that are near you. But to do this, you have to use 2 new objects, the sundial wristwatch and the longsword. The object of the level is to use the new cleaving skill whenever possible to attack large groups of enemy. And this is how we're going to do this. First things first, we check if the enemy, we want to check if the enemy, if we can cleave. Given the cooldown, you can only cleave once every several seconds. Now, what could we use to check this? All right, what we're going to do is use an if-else statement, so that something happens if a condition is true, and if something else happens, the condition is false. All right. Now, pseudocode. We're going to use pseudocode, and I highly recommend using this when you're doing more advanced coding. It gives you a plain language that describes the steps in your code. Basically, you're planning out step by step on what you're going to do, and helping you figure out by verbally explaining it. Now, first step, is there an enemy? Okay. If there is an enemy, check to see. So we need to know if there's an enemy, so we're going to check. So we're going to find nearest enemy. If you cleave, then cleave, otherwise attack. So you're using an if-else statement. And then we're going to have this repeat, which means you're going to have them in a loop. So to break this code down, all right, to cleave, we have to use this as an if statement. This is ready cleave. This is due to our new wrist device. And then else if cleave isn't ready, do your normal attack. So basically, this is how this code will look. So after you say if cleave, you have to cleave the enemy. So it's this dot cleave enemy. Make sure you're using syntax correctly once again. Now you just got to have to loop it. Loop it, set up your location, where you want to be, which is next to the chest. Or excuse me, not the chest, but in the central location, and then you just attack. All right? And it will continuously loop. And in between, if you can't cleave, what it'll do, it'll attack with your longsword. Okay? All right, Woodland Cleaver. With this, you can also check see how other people are doing and the damage and etc. Now, Shield Rush. We're going to be using a new piece of equipment, the bronze shield. And basically the goal of this lesson is very similar to the one before, except this time, if cleave is not ready, we want you to shield. Okay? So very similar concept, using your if-else statement, and basically breaking this down with your pseudocode. Is there an enemy? If there's an enemy, check to see if you can cleave. If you cleave, then cleave, otherwise use shield repeat. So once again, we're using our variable enemy equals this dot field nearest enemy, and then if statement, there is ready cleave, then this is cleave enemy, then else this shield. And voila, you have cleaved all your enemies that are swarming you. Okay? Let's go to, after shield rust, we're going to do Peasant Protection. We're going to the wooden glasses, and what the wooden glass is going to help us do is be able to find the nearest enemy along with find the nearest distance now. All right? And you don't have to use their specific name, which is great. So to do this, we need to protect the peasant. So if anyone comes near them, we attack them. So the way you do this is you use two variables, enemy and distance. All right. Then we're going to set up if distance is less than 10. So if an enemy comes less than 10 steps away, we will attack them. And by saying this, var enemy equals this dot find nearest enemy. All right. Which then leads to we attack that enemy. And our else is moved to XY4037 because that is near the peasant. So you attack to the right, you go back to the peasant. If someone comes from the left, you attack to the left, you go back to the peasant. The reason you want to be near the peasant because that's like your start base. All right. As you can see here, the Agrippa defense, for this level you will need several nested if statements. This means if statements within if statements. Once an enemy is present, you should check and see if the enemy is close enough to attack. If so, you check to see if you can cleave, else you will attack. All right, be careful with your curly brackets. Once again, syntax, it's very important the way you lay this out. Okay, one of the errors here that you can run into by looking at here is distance to method needs to be after the if statement. You want it inside the if statement compared to here where it's on its own. See the if within the if statement? That's a nested if statement. Okay. Munchkin Swarm on level 14 of the Forest, World 2. The goal of this level is very similar to the last. Can you set up the nested if statements? All right, so basically what's going on here, you have if enemies come within a distance, you cleave them, else you attack. Okay. And that's how you do level 14. And then lastly, level 15, you're using a flagging system. So with this, use the help. This will help you a lot by showing you examples of how this code works. And then after that, follow this code, and it allows you to place flags and pick them up to collect coins. All right? And basically the goal here is to collect all the coins, use the flags, and press submit when you're ready. And here's your code that's going to help you position where you need to be. All right? And this is the breakdown of this. We left off on 15. Next class we'll start on level 16 with drop the flag. All right, thank you. And this is a recap of lesson 3. Have a great day. This is Mr. Taylor with Young Engineers of Today. Thank you.